Good morning. There's a story of a 22-year-old standing backstage, heart hammering against their ribs like a trapped bird. In their hand were 10 pages of notes, meticulously researched, that now felt like 10 pounds of lead. They were about to give their first major presentation to a board of directors twice their age, with lifetimes of experience. And the only thought in their head, on a deafening, crushing loop, was, they're going to find me out. They're going to find out I'm a fraud. I don't have what it takes. Have you ever been there, in that scared space of terror, where the fear of being seen as inadequate is so paralyzing? It feels like a physical weight. Maybe it was before a first date or a difficult conversation. Maybe it was the first time you held a newborn child and thought, with breathtaking awe and panic, how can I possibly be enough for you? This feeling, this deep primal fear of inadequacy, is one of the most universal and tender of human experiences. But what if I told you that feeling's not a flaw? What if it's not a sign of weakness, but of a sacred signal, a signal pointing to one of the most profound and powerful energies wired into our very design? Today I want to talk to you about that energy. I want to talk to you about the concept and a language from a fascinating framework of the human experience called human design. Think of human design not as a rigid dogma, but a language of energy, a poetry of potential that helps us understand the subtle currents that help shape who we are. In this language, there are 64 core themes, what are often called gates. And the one we're exploring today is called simply Gate 48. It's also called, in the Chinese text, the I Ching, it's called the well. It's the energy of depth. And its core fear is the one that person felt backstage, the fear of inadequacy, the fear that when it matters most, our well could be empty. For the next 30 minutes, we're going to journey to the bottom of this well together. We're going to understand its shadows, celebrate its gifts, and perhaps, just perhaps, catch a glimpse of the divine wisdom it's meant to connect us to. Because I believe that in our modern world of shadow streams and noisy information, learning to draw from our own deep well, quiet well, is not just a skill for success, it's an essential for our soul survival. First, a quick orientation. Imagine your energetic blueprint is like a house. The house has 9 rooms, which we call centers. These centers govern different aspects of our life. For one, it's the pressure. One, the emotional processing. One for identity, and so on, for the mental aspects of our life. And connecting these rooms are channels, with gates acting as doors. Gate 48, the well, is located in a very special place, the Awareness Center. This center is our oldest, most primal intelligence. It's our intuition, our instinct for survival, our immune system even. It operates in the silent, immediate now and communicates through whispers, gut feelings, and often fear. Not fear as a punishment, but fear as an evolutionary alarm system. Each gate in the center has a specific survival fear. Gate 48's fear is, am I prepared? Do I have enough necessary depth and skill to meet the challenge? This fear isn't paralyzing you, it's meant to make you prepare. It's the whisper that says, maybe read one more chapter, maybe practice that presentation again one more time. It's the sacred drive for mastery. The shadow side, meaning the low quality expression of this energy, is when the whisper becomes a roar. It's when the healthy drive for preparation curdles into chronic inadequacy. This is the state of the eternal student, the person who collects degrees and certifications, but is terrified to apply their knowledge. It's the artist who has a dozen unfinished canvases because they fear their work will never be perfect. If you recognize yourself in this, please know you are not lazy or broken. You are simply guarding a very deep well, terrified that someone will find it wanting. The great researcher Dr. Brene Brown speaks of shame as the intensely painful feeling that we are flawed and therefore unworthy of love and belonging. The shadow of Gate 48 is a flavor of that shame. It's a fear that if people see our lack of knowledge, they will see us unworthy. It's a feeling that can be amplified by our culture. A culture that often values quick, superficial confidence over slow, quiet competence. We scroll through feeds of curated perfection, and the voice of inadequacy gets louder. You are not smart enough. You aren't successful enough. You're not polished enough. But the ancient wisdom of the Chinese I Ching says something beautiful about this, about the well. It says, "The town may be changed, but the well cannot be changed. It neither decreases nor increases. They come and go and draw from the well." Your potential for depth is constant. It is your divine inheritance. The only question is whether you have the courage to lower the bucket. Now, you can't talk about Gate 48 without talking about its partner. In human design, energies rarely work alone. They yearn for connection. Gate 48 reaches out from the awareness center, this intuition center, towards the throat center, our center for expression, seeking its partner. That's Gate 16. If Gate 48 is the well of depth, Gate 16 is the gate of skill and enthusiasm. Think of it this way. Gate 48 is the vast, comprehensive library. Gate 16 is the charismatic tour guide who makes the knowledge exciting and accessible to everyone. Gate 48 is the master luthier who spends years perfecting the art of violin making. Gate 16 is the virtuoso who picks it up and makes it sing. Together, they form the channel of what's called the channel of the wavelength, a design of talent. But it's not just any talent, it's the talent born of practice, repetition, and refinement. It's the 10,000 hours of dedication that eventually looks to the outside world like magic. What happens when these energies are separate? A person with a strong Gate 48 but no consistent Gate 16 might feel like they have a well full of life-giving water, but no bucket. They have the solutions, the insights, the depth, but they struggle to express it. They might stumble over their words, feel like they have fallen flat, or simply be overlooked. This can compound with the feeling of inadequacy. I know I have the answer, but no one will listen. Maybe my answer isn't as good as I thought. Conversely, someone with Gate 16 but not 48 can be all bucket and no well. They have the boundless enthusiasm, a talent for performance, a desire to experiment, but they may lack the substance to back it up. It can be all flash and no foundation. They might jump from thing to thing, mastering the surface level, but never achieving true depth. Or chances are we're somewhere in between. And chances are it's just that we need each other. In a business, the Gate 48 is the brilliant engineer who builds a flawless product, but the Gate 16 is the visionary marketer who tells its story to the world. One without the other is an unsung masterpiece or an attempted promise. When they experience each other's role, they create magic. When they don't, the engineer feels unseen and the marketer feels unsupported. Recognize the stance in your own life. Who is the well for your bucket? Who is the bucket for your well? These partnerships are everywhere, designed to help us and bring our full potential to light. So, how do we move from that paralyzing fear of inadequacy to a place of genuine wisdom? It's a journey up the ladder of quality. At the bottom rung, we have a shadow of inadequacy. We climb to the next rung, and we find the gift of resourcefulness. Resourcefulness is the alchemy that turns fear into fuel. It's the shift in the mindset from, I don't have enough, to, I can make the most of what I have. It's the moment you stop waiting for the perfect conditions and you start creating with conditions you've got. Think of the crew of Apollo 13 stranded in space with warning lights flashing. Their lunar module was dying and they had to invent a way to build a carbon dioxide filter, a square peg for a round hole, using only a flight manual, some plastic bags, and duct tape. That is resourcefulness under cosmic pressure. It's looking at your limitations not as a stop sign, but as a creative prompt. Now, there's a story of a prophet from the Book of Mormon, a great, stunning example. He's tasked by God to build a ship, something he has never done before. He's in the wilderness with no shipyard and maybe no tools. Does he fall into the paralysis of inadequacy? No, he turns to the divine and asks with stunning simplicity, "Whither shall I go that I may find ore to molten, that I may make tools?" He doesn't ask for the finished product, he asks for the next step. He trusts that if he can find the raw materials, his efforts combined with divine guidance will be enough. That is resourcefulness. It's faith in action. It's the trust that the well might not give you the whole ocean at once, but it will always give you the next bucket you need. The great poet Rainer Maria Rilke wrote a poem that, well, I think it captures the spirit of this courageous journey into the unknown. He wrote, quote, "God speaks to each of us as he makes us. He walks with us silently out of the night. These are the words we dimly hear. You, sent out beyond your recall, go to the limits of your longing, embody me. Flare up like a flame and make big shadows I can move in. Let everything happen to you, beauty and terror. Just keep going. No feeling is final. Don't let yourself lose me. Nearby is the country they call life. You will know it by its seriousness. Give me your hand." Just keep going. No feeling is final. There is a mantra that lifts us from the shadow of inadequacy into the gift of resourcefulness. And what's at the top of the ladder? What is the highest expression of this energy? It's wisdom. Wisdom is not the same as knowledge. Knowledge is collected. Wisdom is embodied. Knowledge is proud of what it knows. Wisdom is humble in the face of the vastness of what it doesn't. Socrates, the great philosopher, was deemed the wisest man in Athens because he was the only one who could admit his own ignorance. He knew his well was deep, but he also knew it was connected to the infinite ocean. The highest expression of Gate 48 is a state of being where the fear is gone, not because you know everything, but because you are so deeply connected to the source of knowing that you trust the right answer will flow through you at the right time, and it feels like peace. The Persian poet Rumi wrote, quote, "Sell your cleverness and buy bewilderment." Wisdom is found not in having all the answers, but in resting in the beautiful mystery. It's the state of being a clear vessel. In the Christian tradition, there's a beautiful archetype of this energy. In the Gospel of John, Jesus meets a woman at the well, Jacob's well. She comes to draw water, her life filled with shame and inadequacy. He doesn't lecture her. He doesn't condemn her. He simply sees her with perfect clarity and offers her a different kind of water. He says, "Whosoever drinketh of this water that I shall give him shall never thirst, but the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life." He is offering to connect her personal well to the divine infinite source, That is the ultimate promise of this journey. The highest expression of this or any energy is a Christ-like state where our actions flow from a place of perfect love and clarity, quenching the thirst of those around us. This isn't about religion. It's about a universal pattern of human potential to become a source of living water for others. I told you a story about a 22-year-old paralyzed by fear. I'd like to tell you that the truth is that feeling probably hasn't entirely gone away. There are still moments, even now, that voice likely whispers, "Who are you to be standing on this stage? Who are you to speak about these things?" This very talk, for me, an exercise of navigating the energy of the well, the process of writing it was a deep dive into hundreds of sources, ancient texts, modern philosophy, scripture, poetry. It was the act of sitting with the material, feeling the weight of responsibility to get it right, to do it justice. At times overwhelmed by the inadequacy of my own well. And in those moments, we choose. We could listen to the fear and deliver a shadow, safe maybe, and ultimately forgettable talk. Or trust the process. Trust that the time of digging had put something of value in the well. Trust that weaving together all these threads, something resourceful would emerge. Trust that praying even, or asking that higher light to guide the words, the well would be filled with something more than just random ideas, my own ideas even. Well, here's a poem to capture this feeling, this dialogue with the fear inside. The well within said, "I am dark and deep, and you are small with promises to keep." I said, "I'm scared to draw, I might come up dry." The well replied, "You will, if you never try." "But what if I pull up mud and stones and silt?" The well said, "That's the ground on which true things are built." "But what if they all laugh? And what if I should fail?" The well said, "Love is a boat that failure cannot sink. Now set your sail." So I lowered the bucket, trembling and slow, past the echoes of not enough from long ago, and felt it hit water. And I started to pull, and my heart and the bucket were suddenly full. The journey of Gate 48 is not about eradicating fear. It's about developing a new relationship with it. It's about hearing the call to go deeper, not as a threat, but as an invitation. So what does that mean to you? Tomorrow, or when you leave this room? Well, this isn't about looking up your human design chart to see if you, quote, have Gate 48. The beauty of this language is that we all have the access to all 64's energies. We are developing our relationship with the well. So here's your invitation, your call to action. First, identify your well. What are you deeply, inexplicably curious about? What subject, what skill, what problem stirs a quiet hunger in your soul? That is where your well is located. Give yourself permission to dig there. Second, take the next step. Don't wait to feel fully adequate. You never will. As the saying goes, we don't think our way into a new way of acting. We act our way into a new way of thinking. Face one small fear. Share one idea in a meeting. Sign up for class. Start the project. Just lower the bucket one foot. The feeling of competence doesn't come before the action. It comes from the action. Then third, acknowledge your partners. Who in your life has the infectious enthusiasm that pulls you out of your analysis into action? Who is the Gate 16 to your Gate 48? Thank them. Celebrate them. And if you are that deep, quiet well for your family or your team, the one who ensures things are done right, please know that your contribution though often unsung, is the very bedrock of every true success. And finally, the next time that old familiar voice of inadequacy whispers in your ear, I want you to reframe it. Hear it not as judgment, but as a question from something divinely in you, a question that asks, have you dug deep enough? Sometimes the answer will be no, I need to prepare a little bit more, but often, more often than you think, the honest answer will be yes, I have. And I trust that what I have is enough for this next step. Is this talk that I'm sharing with you today, I think about this, is this talk enough? Have I dug deep enough? And the answer is, it's enough for this next step. It's enough for us right now. That 22-year-old backstage trembling, he eventually walked out onto that stage. He delivered the presentation. It wasn't perfect. Some questions stumped him, but he survived. More than that, he learned. He learned that the anticipation of inadequacy is almost always worse than the reality. He learned that the point wasn't to be flawless. The point was to contribute what he knows. Every experience, that fear added another inch of water to his well. Your well is not empty. It contains every book you've ever read, every tear you've ever cried, every kindness you've ever showed, every mistake you've ever learned, and even every prayer you've ever uttered. It's a deep, sacred reservoir of your unique life experience. And right now, a world that is thirsty for your authenticity, your substance, and that world is ready for real solutions. And it's waiting. It's waiting for you to have the courage to lower the bucket, draw deeply, drink fully, and then turn and share it with the rest of us. And with that, I thank you and good night.